We are all awash in statistics. In fact, I'd say in the last year, we've all been given a crash course in statistics. Just think back about all the data that you've had to analyze this year, all of the decisions that you've had to make that are based on data. I'll remind you. Paul Cobb, a mathematics education researcher, once wrote that it's a democratic imperative that citizens both understand and critically question data and the conclusions that are drawn from that data. These conclusions and these data drive decision making and policy making in our world. But given the last year, I might argue that it's more than a democratic imperative, it's an existential imperative. I study statistical literacy and the practices of statistically literate people, not statisticians or mathematicians, just everyday people who practice statistical literacy. So, what are the practices of statistically literate people? Well, for one, they understand that statistics drive policymaking in our country. They also bring a critical disposition to thinking about statistics. For instance, they might have a fact checking mentality. When they see a statistic cited in the news, they might go and find out a little bit more about that fact. They also bring an understanding of models. Often statistics are represented in graphical models like line graphs or bar charts. But beyond that, they also think about those indicators like the GDP, the poverty line, the unemployment rate. They understand how these are constructed and both the limitations and the affordances of these constructs. Statistically literate people understand that statistics plays a role in policymaking. They also bring a critical disposition to analyzing data when it's presented to them. For instance, they might think about asking questions, they might look for evidence, they have a fact checking mentality. They have an open mindedness for conclusions that might differ from their own personal experiences, and they consider the rhetorical aspects such as genre and bias when they're reading statistics presented in the media. And they apply two different types of knowledge. One is their quantitative knowledge, their knowledge of ideas around ratios and proportions or orders of magnitude, and also their contextual knowledge, how things are on the ground. What's the reality? When they're thinking about these statistics represented in the news, they think about, does this make sense based on what I know about the world, about politics, about how laws are made in our society? For my dissertation, I'm investigating UCSC undergraduate students' engagement with representations of data and their attitudes and beliefs about statistics. My data collection site is this amazing community studies course called Numbers in Social Justice. The course meets the general education requirement for statistical reasoning, and our students are almost always folks who have just had a really negative experience in math and statistics classes in the past. So they come to us with these really negative attitudes about statistics, and we reframe statistics for them. We focus on learning statistics concepts through social justice examples. And for many of them, this is the first time that mathematics has had a true purpose. I'm really fired up about this research. Based on past years teaching the course, I hope to see some really exciting and profound changes in students' statistical literacy. And I think this is really important because no matter what future you desire, statistical literacy is an essential tool to help you realize it.